Welcome to AI for Good, the leading, action-oriented, global and inclusive United Nations platform on AI. Organized by ITU, in partnership with 40 UN sister organizations, and co-convened with Switzerland. The goal of AI for Good is to identify practical applications of AI to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and scale those solutions for global impact. In today's session, we're counting on you to use the live video wall feature to ask questions and post comments to help create an engaging discussion. We encourage you to stay until the end, as we will hold a 30-minute networking session in the neural network. Here you can meet, ask questions to our distinguished speakers, connect, and chat with the AI for Good community. It is now time to kick off the session and welcome our first speaker. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and hello and good day, everyone. Welcome to today's Machine Learning 5G Challenge session. My name is Thomas Basikolo from the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, and I have the privilege to introduce today's session. The Machine Learning 5G Challenge aims to create a community to solve network-related problems using AI and machine learning. Today's session is coming to you on the AI for Good's new content and networking platform called the Neural Network. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our moderator, Vishnu, and our panelists. We have Alessandro from Xilinx, Mr. Chong from CICT, Bruno from Federal University of Sao Paulo. We have Paola from University of Antwerp and Jose from UPC Barcelona Neural Network. So at this point in time, I would like to kick it to my colleague, Vishnu. Over to you, Vishnu.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. It's a great pleasure to be here. And I have a very nice panel today. We are going to start the discussion now without any delay. It's an exciting topic that we have, that is experiences and strategies for the challenge. We are trying to give a good strategies and hints for this year's challenge. You already know that we had a successful 2 years, and now we are planning for this year again, 2022 edition of the challenge. We would like to give the participants, hosts, and judges, and anybody who is in the ecosystem a view on what to do and how to succeed in this challenge. I would like to quickly run through the participants of this panelists of this challenge, of this chat. Can I introduce Mr. Chong first? Mr. Chong is a senior engineer at CICT, China Academy of Information and Communication Technology. He was a vice chair at the ITUT Focus Group Machine Learning 5G and the chairman of Telecom Project Group of AI IA China from 2016. So thank you so much. He's having a great experience from standards and in China and international standards. Thank you, Mr. Chong, for joining today. And he is also our partner and colleague who has helped us a lot from a China perspective. Thank you for joining today. I would like to call upon Paula. Paula is a PhD student at the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science at University of Antwerp and IMEC, where she researches upon the topics of network management and AI and machine learning. It's a very interesting discussion that we will have with her, because she has the perspective of having interacted with us as a participant last 2020 as well. So I think it is quite interesting from a technical as well as participation perspective. Next, we have Alessandro. Alessandro is a senior researcher with Xilinx. Xilinx in Dublin, Ireland. He works between hardware and software for machine learning acceleration with a focus on neural network quantization. Last year, in 2021, we had a very interesting experience with Xilinx, especially Alessandro. leading the challenge and problem statement. It was a very interesting problem statement from Xilinx as well. So thank you, Alessandro, for joining today. Bruno, I would like to welcome Bruno. He is a PhD candidate at the Federal University of Sao Paulo, Institute of Science and Technology. If you don't follow him in Kaggle, I suggest you do that, because he really enjoys challenging himself in practical data science challenges. There is a lot to learn from him. And last year he was the winner. So there is a lot to talk to Bruno as well. Thank you so much, Bruno, for joining today. Jose, can I welcome Jose? He holds a PhD in computer science from UPC Barcelona, and he's currently working as a postdoc in BNN, Barcelona Neural Networking Center. He's also a co-principal investigator in Ignition project in Horizon 2020. His team is developing a framework for fast prototyping of graph neural networks. So there is, I personally am very interested in his problem statement, where he's going with it. In the last 2 years, he has been there with us. And a very popular problem statement as well. So thank you so much, Jose, for joining. If you don't have your videos, this is the time. If you don't mind, if you can, if it allows, you can switch on your videos. And I'm going to do a mix of round robin and random algorithms in asking a few questions. Perhaps what I will do is to start with Jose. Let me ask Jose some interesting points, because as I was telling, Jose, you were there with us in the last 2 years, and it has been a very popular problem statement, very hot topic. GNN, graph neural networks, is a hot topic. It is evolving still, and it is your area of research. Can I ask you to give a two-line introduction of what is your technology all about, and then how this challenge has helped in that research? So what are you doing, and how this challenge has helped you in that research, and in terms of pushing the envelope forward and pushing the research in the GNN area as such. So can you please tell us a little bit?
Okay, so good day to all. Thanks for the question. Well, first of all, we make research on graph neural networks applied to networking. It's around 3 or 4 years that we started working on this. And basically, graph neural networks have a lot of possible applications to control and management of networks, also for modeling, which is a fundamental aspect for controlling optimally networks. So in this context, the challenge, I think, that definitely has helped us, or in general to the community, to advance the area of graph neural networks for communication networks. Graph neural networks were a hot topic in the machine learning community around 3 or 4 years ago also. And they have some flagship applications that maybe some of you already know, like in Google Maps or Uber Eats, or also in the chemistry field. And we started working also on the applications of GNNs for computer networks, which were less popular. So since we started with the challenge 2 years ago, it helps us make a lot of dissemination on this application, specifically to networks, and raise interest on this novel research area. And I think that it's also a very good incentive for participants to get introduced through a hands-on experience. So I don't know, for some of them, maybe it was kind of an advanced tutorial to get introduced into the topic, although we also had some other participants that already had some strong background on this. Well, here I would like to also thank especially the ITU, because they absolutely had the capability to reach in many different profiles, from standardization parties, of course, but also from the industry, from academia, and many other profiles. So it helped us reach also this broad community that it's sometimes difficult for us to reach.
Thanks a lot, Jose. I will come back to you. Can I now call upon a related personality here, Bruno? You know, you have the experience of working in these challenges, and you have actually won the challenge last year. Can you tell us? And you are very active solving the other challenges as well, the problem statements, and in general you are very active in machine learning field. Can you tell us some of the differences that you feel between what you see outside and what you see in ITU? You could pick any specific or general areas that you find between any of the challenges, what in general what you see outside and what your experience has been, or what you saw in ITU, especially with respect to the winning challenge that you did. Bruno, please.
First of all, thank you, and good day to all. Yeah, there are a few differences between this ITU challenge and the other ones I was more familiar with. Namely, first of all, I can't even wrap my head around how you're able to just get all of these regional hosts and organize all of that. That seems like an immense task to me. About Kaggle, I'm not even that active on Kaggle. One of the differences is that there you have you're a bit there are people that always want to share notebooks and that sort of stuff, which is good and all, but it's sort of like you're competing against 100 minds being part of the same team. So it gets kind of weird in the pure competition kind of sense. What else? Yeah, there's because you have this division between the first phase and then you have the grand challenge finale. You have a few considerations. You really need to worry about not only having a good walk, but also a really solid presentation. That's something that I really had to focus on. And the level of competition, I mean, you have guys and gals from all over the world, from working in companies, as part of the universities. So I think the level of competition is really, really good. Anything else of note? Yeah, I would say that this competition involving networks is sort of rare. There are some, but in Kaggle, for example, if I try to load up the most popular graph neural network library, it has some problems. I can't even load it. And it took like 1 hour to install the whole thing the last time I checked. So as you're ahead of the curve here, I would say. So these are, I think, are the main things.
Thank you, Bruno. I will come back to you again. Can I ask Mr. Chung? Mr. Chung, we had actually very good collaboration with our colleagues in China. We had mostly China Mobile, China Unicom hosting us problem statements. In fact, with very good prices. In fact, mouth-watering prices, I should say. A lot of participation and uptake also in China. There have been winners also from China's side as well. Can you tell us what are the motivations? What are they looking for in as far as China participants are concerned? Are they looking for prices? Are they looking for problems to solve? Are they looking for job opportunities? What do you do exactly? These companies like China Unicom or China Mobile or ZTE, if you look at those type of companies, could you tell us a little bit more about what are the motivations and perspectives from China, please, Mr. Chung?
Thank you, Vishnu. The challenge in China is mainly hosted by operators. The questions come from actual needs of network operation, and the data are from real network. Basically, we think the organizer and the questions determine which participants will be attracted. The challenge in China mainly attracts two types of players. One type is from the industry, which engage in telecommunication software development. These players of this type, they pay more attention on demonstrating the establishment of companies' technology capabilities and establishing connections with the customers, such as operators. The other type of the player is college students from communications or electronic related majors. Through the competition, students can understand the real industry problems outside the campus, make up for their own experience, and have a good help in finding a job after graduation. So I think the prize money is not the main focus of these players because there are many AI challenges in other fields at the same time in the last 2 years, such as medicine. They offer much higher price than us. So players who focus on earning prize money through competitions usually don't participate in. Yeah, that's the situation.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Yes, I think we had actually very good participation from China and good solutions coming out of there. Also, we had good talks, webinars and judging from China as well. Can I, that reminds me in terms of your points about students, tool sets and job opportunities in terms of increasing the domain knowledge. Can I ask Alessandro, you had a very good strategy last year. In 2021, you had I felt that you had prepared your sandbox, your tool sets, your references. It came as a really nice package, so to speak, and it was very useful for the participants to look at this comprehensive manner. And you also hosted a discussion forum in GitHub along with the GitHub. So I think that was very useful in my opinion. Can you tell us a little bit about your preparation strategy? So when a host has this problem statement and they want to prepare for putting this in front of global audience, what should they ideally look for? I think you are the best person to talk about this. What kind of preparation they should look at? Can you take us through the steps? If any of the potential hosts this year are listening, I suggest you listen carefully to Alessandro. We had a very good experience with Xilinx last year. Alessandro, please.
Thank you, Vishnu. Yeah, we did have a very good challenge. We were all quite happy with it. It was very nicely received, and we had a lot of positive feedback on it. And as you said, I would say a lot of it came really from the sort of points you were making about how we really try to lower the barrier entry for the challenge. I think one of the issues, especially when it comes to, trying to tackle and apply, let's say, AI to very specific domains, is that the majority of people, even that might have certain level of experience with AI, might not necessarily be familiar with the particular domain in question. And for our challenge, obviously, that was AI applied to radio modulation classification and in general radio ML. So what you really want to do as the person, asking people to join your challenge is try to lower the barrier as much as possible in terms, at least like to me, in terms of even like practical details when it comes to, getting to know this new domain for the first time. So for example, making sure that people can easily access the data that you want them to look at and that you provide them. For example, we spend time on providing visualization of the data too, so that people can actually see, okay, what is the thing that they're working on? So that is not actually, just numbers in a table, but they can actually get an idea of where is it coming from, what does it represent, and so that they can also draw from, their own experience in other fields and try to translate that to the particular problem at hand. And then obviously in practice, I would say, especially when it comes to machine learning, the industry has really optimized for a level of, let's say, approach to the topic that really, I would define it involves incremental complexity, in the sense of you should really be able to, when it comes to the overall, I would say, industry of tooling around AI, the thing that at least to me is really important is to be able to do even not necessarily super sophisticated things, but reasonably sophisticated, apply reasonably sophisticated techniques with, I would say, decent results, but with a very low barrier of complexity at first, and then provide people a way to, invest more time into the tools and progressively try to, discover new functionalities and let's say achieve better results by putting in incrementally more effort. I would say if instead in other situations you really put on the user the responsibility to figure out, how they should download data set, install things, and make things plug together. It really, for a domain where they might not even be familiar with what all the terminology means at first, or things like that, I think it really becomes difficult then for people to even feel like they can make a contribution. So the other thing that I think really helped us was together with this whole sandbox environment that we provided, which for those that are not familiar with it, we used Docker as a platform. So basically a container that can be executed in a variety of environments. It's sort of a lightweight virtual machine, if you're not familiar with the technology. And let's say a step-by-step notebook that guided the user to various steps. And for us, the idea was also to provide an environment that would actually get to a baseline solution. So we provided something that already was ready to be submitted as a solution to the challenge as is, if people wanted. Obviously, they probably wouldn't have won the submission, but it was something that, again, they could improve on rather than start from scratch. Then obviously, you're going to always have, the savvy users who are experienced and they don't need your help and they can write something from scratch and achieve great results. But also the less savvy user, at least at first, they can also get a jump start this way, and I think it really makes a difference.
Thanks, Alessandro. Yeah, that is that's very helpful, and I will come back to you again to quiz you on some of these in detail. Can I ask Paula in the meanwhile? Paula, thank you for joining in spite of your vacation. Thank you for taking the time and coming here to talk to us. In relationship with what Alessandro and these guys are talking about, right? Could you tell us your perspective? First of all, when you chose the problem statement to work upon, did you look at how did you choose as a participant? I mean, from now I'm looking at it from a participant perspective. So did you look at the relationship between what you're doing in your lab, or is it something which you wanted to try out and see how it goes? Did you look at some of these when you were looking at taking up something? Was it based upon the things that Alessandro was talking about, or is it something which is closely related to what you are working upon, or is it simple curiosity? I am trying to understand from when you pick a challenge from a domain expert perspective and a participant perspective, what you go by and what is useful to put up to get people excited about what we are doing in the challenge. Paula, please.
Yeah, Vishnu, can you hear me?
Yeah. Loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean the relationship with our lab is basically that our lab was mainly focused on wireless management, and we are shifting more towards an AI lab, right? We still have the part of wireless and fixed network management, especially with SDN and stuff. But we were thinking towards the shifting of AI. So we are also having a group, for example, of AI applications in which I am involved. And one of the particular applications that we have is AI for networking management. Is a really little cluster, so meaning that that it is only Miguel and me involved. But we are trying to expand it, right? And in the 2020 edition, I was in my second year PhD, and basically I was without a clear objective for that second year, and then the challenge came out, and I thought that maybe it was a good experience to have, especially because I wanted to gain a little bit more of hands-on experience of the machine learning applied in a specific networking problem, and that was something that the challenge bring to the table, right? Especially because, for example, to get data in those particular situations is really difficult. So in the 2020 edition, I participated in the challenge from the UPF with a GNN. And because of that experience in the 2021 edition, I was kind of mentoring a colleague that went from Girona, from the University of Girona, that wanted to start to have also hands-on experience in that sense. So yeah, that is basically the motivation. I think the challenge is a really good opportunity to get really elaborated and complex cases or problems in networking, I'm sorry, and also that they provide like a complete platform where you can have data, you can have mentoring, and you can have also opportunities for publications. So
thank you so much. It's a very interesting story. I want to ask a follow-up question to you. There is, you know, I am told, or we are told that we should have real data. You know, no synthetic data. You should have real data and so on, right? Always, I'm told that. So I want to ask, when you went through this thought process in 2020, and when you did this, you know, I really liked the mentoring that you did. With that in that shoes, when you are in that shoes, does it matter, or when you pick, or when your colleague picks, or when a researcher picks the problem statement, what are the factors, and is the real data, and the quote unquote the real data, is that a factor for such researchers? Could you tell us your views, please?
Yeah, of course, if you have real data, then it is better. So, for example, machine learning models will have more acceptation, let's say, in the industry, because of course you tried it in real data, and you show that it works on real situation, for example. Unfortunately, that is really difficult to get, because or the data belongs to an operator, which is bonded by privacy, or like yeah, it has sensitive content in the data, or if you deployed your own setup, let's say, for a given problem, normally you are limited because of the size. You cannot afford to have 1,000 users and stuff. So the easiest thing for us as a researcher is to simulate that data and to create synthetic data sets. And yeah, that is a downside, for example, because somebody in the industry especially might say, like, yeah, that machine learning model works for that specific problem on that specific situation, so I cannot trust that it will perform equally as good in real data. So the more real data that we can get, the better. But I know that is a really difficult problem to solve still.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Can I ask you, Alessandro, your views on this? You had a very interesting, or Xilinx had a very interesting strategy last year. Please describe your strategy with respect to data, and could you tell us your thoughts on this synthetic data? Please, Alessandro.
Sure. Yeah. So we, as part of our challenge, we adopted a data set from it was actually being curated not by us, but from a company that we had a previous collaboration with called DeepSig. If you are familiar with it, they're a startup operating in the AI for radio space. And this particular variant of their dataset, the 2018 version, is a mixture of real and synthetic data. From my perspective, to be honest, like I completely agree with what Paula was saying. Obviously, real data is best suited whenever you actually wanna check if your approach actually can work in real life. But I would say from my perspective, there's definitely like legitimacy to synthetic data, in the sense that if your technique doesn't even work on synthetic data, I can imagine working on the real data for the most part, unless your data generation process is really wrong. But I would say if your synthetic data at least approximates the, let's call them the easy scenarios, and it's a stepping stone. Like it's a first step. Honestly, it's most probably it's not going to translate to the real world in completely, obviously, but you need to start from somewhere. And I think like the point that Paolo was making about data coming from companies is actually the real issue here. So what would really make a difference often is operator getting involved in this space and providing data to people like the IT organ or us, organizing competition. But obviously you need to give them a reason to do so, like for them to expose themselves and take a risk in exposing in some way their own private data. And I think like at least showing potential approach that at least work on synthetic data is a way to try to attract interest, obviously, this topic, because again you need to to start from somewhere, and you need to, be able to sit down at a table and have a conversation without necessarily the other party already having provided you the data. So I'm all in favor of synthetic data. Then obviously I don't expect it to, let's say a model that has been trained only on synthetic data to be deployed in the real world, but it's a way to get there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alessandro. That makes is a well-balanced answer. I want to ask Mr. Chong, because China Unicom actually is one of the operators, like both Alessandro and Paula mentioned. Operators' role in sharing data is an important role. And China Unicom is one of the operators who have shared open data last year, 2021. They did share open data. Apart from Turkcell also had a very interesting challenge where they had open data from the network, real life data from the network. Mr. Chong, can you tell us what are the operators' views and what are the problems in collecting and opening data, please?
Thank you, Vishnu. Yes, this is an interesting question. The benefit of choosing to use real data is very important. Let's make the result from the participant more practical. We got more practical result, and because the real data is often dirty, so this also increase the difficulty of the problem. But there are some difficulties using real network data, and it's even more difficult to make the data open. Because the data, first, the data is an asset of the company, of the operators. And the data is also limited by some data security or data privacy regulations. So open some data requires complex approval, generally a complex approval process. So generally, opening real network data will increase the cost of operators to hold competitions, and greatly limit the choice of competition problem. Yes, in last year, China Unicom shared their data, some data. It's because last year the China Unicom have some problem with their platform, the platform for the competition. Yeah, because if the operators choose to use real data and they don't want to open it, generally they need a web platform to host the competition, and require the participants to do their work on the network, on the platform. But last year there are some issues for China Unicom, so they choose to open. They choose the problem. They choose the problem that they can open in the data. But this also this action limited their flexibility to release more topic, more problems. That's my view.
That is an interesting trade-off. Yes, I thought about that problem. In fact, choice of area where you want to open data may be a trade-off with the openness of data itself. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that out. I think Alessandro touched upon that aspect as well. You can choose the data and problem statement that you want to open based upon whether there is personal data or not. I want to switch gears and ask about tool sets. Can I ask Jose, what are the simulators, tool sets, pipelines, the preparatory works that you do especially because your challenge is unique. I feel that it is unique. It is very well automated. Your evaluation mechanism, I leave it to you to explain, but I want to I want the viewers to also hear about your evaluation mechanism, your automation mechanism, and your data collection mechanism. Could you tell us a little bit about all these so that the participants, the viewers, get some idea about how you prepare data, how you evaluate the submissions, and how it is automated? Jose, please.
Well, thanks for the question. So I think that it is really hard work, to be honest. It requires a lot of time through an iterative process to refine the data and so on. So we are lucky that we have a good engineering team. So especially we have an engineer in our team that has a large experience on simulators, test beds. So he, all the team has developed a series of tools and scripts that somehow automatize the generation of data. So in our case, the data sets have a great amount of samples. So it's it takes a lot of time. We use computing clusters to generate it. Also, simulation is very costly computationally. Well, more or less, these tools and resources has helped us to make it faster, but we still had or needed to adapt the tools for every challenge depending on the problem that we posed. So also, we in the 2 editions we provided some baselines, the general models. We needed to make some research on this to find what is really the state of the art, particularly for this problem. So this also requires to implement candidate models, also write some guidelines for the participants on how to proceed. So, well, in general, it's difficult, but over the years we are refining the process to make it faster. And well, regarding the evaluation platform, I think that this was a good decision that we made at the beginning. So we thought that it was interesting for participants to have an automatic evaluation so that they can see the leaderboard in real time. And it fosters competition and motivation from participants as they can see in real time the scores of the other participants. So one important aspect here is to consider this from the very beginning, since you start working on the challenge, because for example, you need to think about a good objective score, then prepare the data, and for example, prepare APIs to easily read the data and to then generate the data as it is needed in the evaluation platform. So this helped us to make it easier to think from the very beginning about this automatic evaluation. Yes.
Thank you so much, Jose. Can I jump to Bruno? Bruno, you heard both Alessandro and Jose and Mr. Song talk about data and their problems and pains and so on. Now I want to ask you from a participant perspective, from a winner perspective, how do you see this? First of all, what do you expect from a challenge? What both Alessandro told and Jose told and Mr. Song talked about from the preparation, collection of data, putting together a sandbox, putting together a compute cluster. What are you, from a winner perspective, could you give us your wish list? I mean, what are you looking for from a problem statement, and what would help to create more Brunos, more Brunos or happy Brunos? More happier Brunos. So could you tell us your views, Bruno, please?
Yeah, the first thing I wanted to say is that all the effort of Jose's team is very well appreciated. even though I didn't end up using a lot of it, such as the baseline implementations on, I think it was TensorFlow and their own platform. Is it IGNNition or something like that? But it's very nice that it is there. I did use, I think they had a sort of an API for actually extracting stuff for the input. That was very, very useful. And yeah, the evaluation side, it's almost like a necessity. When you have some sort of competition like that, you really want to be able to see the scores in real time of the other competitors, so that you can push yourself further. That is an absolute necessity in any competition, in my humble opinion. And I wouldn't, if I didn't see the scores up until the very end, I would have just had my first submission and it ended up way below than. I mean, really, it was when I looked at the submission of the other guy that had like 1 or 2% error, and I thought, hold on, I'm doing something wrong here. I think maybe my whole approach this whole time is completely backwards and I need to just do everything from scratch. So that's kind of how it is in these sorts of competitions, really. What else? Oh yeah, about how to have more Brunos. It's always good to have a good way to put your challenge, just throw it out there. And if I have to be completely honest with you, the way I got hold of these challenges, specifically the graph neural networking challenge, I wasn't even aware there were other challenges at first. The thing I did, I just found a random website named mlcontest.com. And I thought, oh, well, I work in the with graphs. Maybe I should look at these random website and see if it lists any problem related to graphs. Because, for example, in Kaggle, you just won't find any of them. So I just looked up and say, oh, not graphs, reinforcement learning, image recognition. Oh, there's the one with the graphs. Let me see what that is. That's how I kind of got hold of the whole thing. So it's funny how that works sometimes. But yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else I missed.
Can I ask you a follow-up question, Bruno?
Yeah.
What about the compute clusters? So
yeah, okay,
you know,
yeah.
we always go ahead. You get.
Yeah, I forgot about that, really. Yeah, let me tell you about that. So of course, I in my case I do have a sort of beefy GPU here, and what actually was my bottleneck is that I have a very small SSD, and that so that was the main problem for me here. But after the competition, I have to say I did manage to move all of my code to Google Colab as a test, and I was able to run it there without problem. So if you were able to have a Google Colab subscription, for my challenge at least, you should be able to run everything. Maybe Colab Pro, just because of the of the large file size. I needed the SSD really badly. And that is a bit in contrast in other challenges I tried to participate. There was one that was the Open Graph Benchmark. I tried looking into that, but it was really directed to like large scale clusters and so on and so forth. In this case, this competition right here, you didn't need as much. Of course, it is convenient to have a better GPU and so on, but it's quite doable, I think, even if you just use the cloud.
Very interesting. So in your opinion, it does make a difference that you have a compute cluster, a storage environment, and a Colab-like environment at your disposal. It does make a difference, right?
Yeah, of course, I really like having the GPU in my computer because I just, you know, I feel more confident pretty much. But if you have a Google Colab, the only thing maybe would be an issue on my side would be the SSD. Everything else, you wouldn't even need the Colab Pro. You wouldn't even need to pay. And the Colab Pro is quite inexpensive compared to any other kind of like Amazon AWS, Azure, and so on. But I'm not even familiar with the engineering cloud computing side of things, really. But it works on Google Colab. That's all I know.
Thank you. Can I ask maybe Alessandro another question, which actually it's there is something here as well. which is there in the chat window. Maybe I should ask you your views on that. But I want to ask about the integration of these. What do you do? What can we do with the output which comes out of this challenge? What is a good way to absorb this, integrate this in the industry environment? I see opportunities of publication. It's quite clear. You know, ITU has a journal. We have successfully published papers from the challenge. But apart from that, what are your views on integration of these solutions into the industry? And then there is a question in the chat which asks about specific industries. I mean, it asks about road safety, health, geosat, etc. Whether the model that we follow will be applicable. So if you have any comments, Alessandro, please.
Yeah, so I think in terms of integration, the first thing, at least for someone in this industry, that has to be obvious whenever you want to adopt a new solution, let's say to an existing problem, is by how much it's improving over the existing approach. Like, it has to be very clear cut that, you know, whenever you're making an investment into jumping from, say, a non-AI based approach for a particular problem to the AI based one, there are clear advantages, and of course there might be, you know, disadvantages. AI also has its own drawbacks, but there are clear advantages. I would say in our own case, it might be, for example, for modulation classification, it might be the much higher accuracy that you get with an AI-based solution. So once that it's established, that there's actually, a clear-cut advantage in principle. Obviously, at least for our particular industry in the hardware space, let's say the time to integrate a new approach might not be as quick as I've seen, for example, happening with other challenges that are purely software-based, say, where, you know, adopting a solution is really just a matter of, okay, let's just pull this new pre-trained model as part of this, software pipeline, like pre-existing software pipeline, where you can just plug it in and it works. I think that's great. For the hardware industry, it's definitely more difficult because hardware obviously is a long-term investment. Obviously, whenever you're designing hardware, you know it's something that you don't do from one day to the other. So you're making long-term investments, and FPGAs provides you a very good way to go around the issue by, if you're not familiar with that, by providing a hardware programmable platform. But obviously, you know, there are still challenges. I would say the output of the competition is useful in informing directions to me, like what are the directions that actually might be feasible, and how much can you, this in our particular cases, how much can you, push the efficiency of this model. And to me, like, the direction that the challenge is saying is, yes, it is feasible to actually push these models to a point where they can actually be deployed at the, within the constraints that this deployment scenario requires in terms of like latency, throughput, and power, and still provide value. Then I don't expect, to be honest, the exact same output of what comes out of the competition to be deployed in hardware. It is for our own case, not for our competition, but it does inform a lot the process of where things can go.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Alessandro. Yes, I agree with you that that this kind of model should be applicable, given the disclaimer that you put in, that there's certain scenarios, of course, commercial application of models have to be carefully done. That is quite clear. I want to take the question that is your number one wish for challenge in 2022. So I'm going to rapid fire round. Maybe let's start with Jose and let's go around and see what you think. What your wish for challenge in 2022 is. I will call upon a rapid fire round. Let's start with Jose, please.
Well, I think that after 2 very successful editions, the only thing that I can wish for the next year is having more participation, attracting more participants. I think that I'm very happy with the outcomes of the last years, and well, we will also release new open source data sets in general, all the problems, and this is very good for the area to advance in general for machine learning applied to networks.
Thank you so much, Jose. Very exciting. I want to look forward. We all look forward to your announcements. Did you narrow down upon a particular problem statement or some kind of theme for this year?
Well, we are working on some problems, but it's still a work in progress. But we have some ideas, and we are working on this.
Suspense. Can I ask Paula? Paula, please, what is your #1 wish for a challenge for this year?
Yeah, I completely share the vision of Alessandro that is talking about lowering the entrance barrier of the participants. So, for example, I know that it is difficult. I am talking as a participant. I am not talking as an organizer. And I know that from the point of view of from the organizer, it is really difficult. But as a participant, it would be really nice to have like tutorials that because, for example, a lot of people. It is not having even experience with TensorFlow or with PyTorch that are kind of basic machine learning frameworks that you need to know to manage. Yeah, so for example, tutorials would be really nice. Real data would be also really nice. And I think more time, because the challenge is really from August more or less until November, so October, something like that. So it is really short time for you to develop a solution. So maybe Bruno disagrees, but yeah, so those are the 3 wishes for the 22 edition.
No, I completely agree with you. We would actually like to have you as a host because you're completely mirroring what I tell Thomas always. I hope Thomas is listening. So you're completely mirroring what I always tell him. Bruno, do you agree?
I mean, yeah, yes and no. I do agree that you really have to work hard to make it work in the current time schedule, the amount of time that you have to complete the challenge. For me especially, I had to rush it a little bit at the end because I tried one approach, didn't work. I had to do lots of stuff from scratch. At the same time, if it was longer, I'm just the sort of guy that can only focus on one thing at once. So I would work all the time on that, and then I forgot that I still have a PhD to do. So I don't know, but maybe it will be for the better for most people.
Absolutely. Do you have any other wishes which you would like to put for this year?
I don't know. I think it's pretty good as it is. I mean, I just have to figure out if you want more participation, if you want to increase those numbers even more. But I'm not an expert on that.
Bruno is happy. Great. All right. Can I ask Mr. Chong? Mr. Chong, what do you see in China for this year? What are your plans and wishes, for this year, please?
Thank you very much. Currently, there is no detailed timeline for 2022, but I think it should be similar to previous. It's usually necessary to announce the competition before the summer vacation and finished in October or November. So my wish for this year is our competition and all of yours, the ITUs not be impacted by COVID-19 much more, and we can follow the timetable and have a smooth progress. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. I share that wish. Alessandro, please.
From our side, I would say that we would like, on a potential next iteration of our challenge to improve on the tooling for evaluations. So to provide the kind of experience that we didn't have, to be honest, fully in the competition that we wrapped up last year around, instant feedback to participants, which is always extremely useful, honestly, in gaining traction. And then in general, I share the sentiment, I guess everyone does, around COVID-19. Hopefully we won't be less of an issue. And I also want to agree with Paula's point around the time. It did feel short, even from the organizer point of view. I felt like, all right, we just launched it, and 1.5 months later, while it was already wrapping up. And as Bruno was saying, like, I guess if you are not dedicated to it full time, it can be difficult maybe to make an impact in a short time frame.
Well, thank you so much, Alessandro, for sharing that, and thank you everybody for sharing that wishes. I want to point out that these are not the only set of heroes that we have. There is Labaro, who couldn't make today, who couldn't come for this session today, as well as there are other very interesting problem statements which you can see from our last year's challenge. There is a challenge, more challenges, problem statements from China. There has been Japan colleagues who have maybe we can host them in a different session. Very interesting problem statements from Japan. There has been ZTE, there has been Russia, a bunch of very interesting challenges from US, including North Carolina State University, NIST, and maybe I'm missing Sergey from Alabama. So we have a bunch of colleagues, and Frank from UPF that Paula talked about. Turkcell challenge. I want to bring your attention that these are all people, heroes who are not here. I mean, we are not the only ones. So we thank all of them for the great problem statements and challenges they put up in 2021. We look forward to seeing many of you again. We have repeat hosts who have been coming to us again and again. Hussein knows, and we also look forward to seeing you again this year. We have participants, competitors who turned into mentors, who have participants who have turned into hosts offering problem statements. Very, very inspiring stories. Maybe perhaps another time Thomas is here, that means that I should probably stop, and that is my cue for stopping. Thank you so much, all of you, for patiently listening and answering. Over to you, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Vishnu, for moderating the panel session. It was quite fire. It was quite nice to hear all the information. I know that we didn't have enough time. There's a lot of things to discuss, but I would like to thank all the panelists for making time to join and share insights in today's session. We have more sessions that are coming your way in the course of 2022, but also we have the 2022 edition of the challenge. So more information will be shared on the AI for Good page as well as on the challenge website. At this point, I would like to invite all of you to join the 30 minutes networking session and to continue the conversation. This will be in the neural network. So thank you everyone for joining, and I would like to give it back to AI for Good colleagues for housekeeping and outro. So thank you very much and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's AI for Good session. We hope you've learned something new, innovative, and engaging in today's event. We now encourage you to continue the conversation on the live video wall in the neural network. Here you can ask questions, like and comment, share links, complete the satisfaction survey, connect with interesting profiles, or speak one-on-one using the chat and video function. After the 30-minute networking session, we invite you to explore the lobby, try the smart matching quiz, visit the virtual exhibits and poster boards, and build your personalized AI for Good program. It was a pleasure learning with you today. See you at the next AI for Good.
you.